All
Uh,
right. Ron Carter in the house.
and Brian Marsolais. Dude,
Right on.
right before we hit the button to go live, um, it's funny. I think I'll kind of want to revisit what we talked about just a little bit ago.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Hey, what is this? The fifth podcast
yeah,
we're doing together?
number 5, Mind Design Podcast number 5. Welcome if you're watching. I don't know how you'd be seeing this if you're not watching, so welcome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is this is really cool. I like that we're doing this. It's funny because I started kind of taking the same energy of this into what I do for like my own online business. And there's a guy that I know that I've known for like 6 years on in the online space, and we both like grew, and we've known each other for 6 years, so we've seen each other grow for 6 years, but we haven't been on like any calls or anything like that. We've just been in Messenger and chatting and seeing each other's content for a long time. And I was just like, dude, let's get on like a Zoom and just go live on our YouTube channels because he's got a channel too. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, what's the topic going to be about? You're gonna like interview me, and we're gonna interview you, because usually people do that, and it's like for a promotion. It's like, hey, I
Yeah.
want to interview you. You talk about everything that you do, how you help people, and then we'll share your link to do that to my audience. And I was like, yeah, none of that. Like, let's just like chit chat about
Yeah.
business and life
Yeah.
for
We're
an
not trying to
hour.
sell a thing. That's great. Hey, audience, we are not trying to sell a thing.
Yeah.
But,
But here's the thing.
we love covering whatever people want to cover. Some people might want to cover something, whatever it is, leave comments. We'll
Yeah.
cover it.
Well, for right now, what that looks like is us covering, I guess, whatever the hell we want, right? Um,
Right, right on,
yeah,
right on. From a perspective of a young man and an older man, me being the older one, in case you can't tell.
yeah. Some people they don't know, like is
Yeah,
Ron the older guy here?
yeah, we're gonna go with that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, the cool thing that we were chatting about right before we went live, for you guys watching, is like, I don't know, it's kind of like the concept of time. And and I feel like just me personally, I feel like whenever we're trying to grow or like develop like personally, I don't know about you, Brian, but whenever I try to get certain results in something, or I want certain results in something,
Mm.
and I start taking action towards it, I want the results right now. Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
start going to the gym. I go to the gym 2 times, and I'm looking in the mirror, like, all right, like,
yeah.
where are the changes? You know?
Hey, I think I think I invented the concept of being impatient. To be honest with you. Yeah, it's tough. It's challenging, right? It's challenging. Everyone wants results immediately. I mean, at least speaking for myself, right? I want results immediately. Hey, you know, whatever it is, and can't. It's just not always the way.
Yeah, and the the funny thing is, like, even though like I'm aware of this, I still have the same feelings, you know. Um, but one thing that I have like at least learned over the last few years is that time and like my perception of it, because it's all it's a perception of time, um, is it could either be like my biggest hindrance towards a goal, or it could be kind of like my secret weapon that I can use towards a goal, depending on how I'm looking at things. And so I guess what I mean by that is like, if I'm aware of the fact that, hey, whatever I'm trying to do, it's going to take time, and and it most likely will take longer than I think. And then I'm like, I'm okay with that. When I'm okay with that, now this is just me personally. I've noticed that I've become more okay with doing all of the little things required to make that happen. And I don't look for shortcuts. I'm just like, I'm going to do the thing. And I know it's going to take a while. Like, that's cool. That's what we're doing. It's going to take daily action for however long, and then probably longer than I think in that regard. And then when I'm taking those daily actions, I'm not trying to skip over anything. There's I guess a good example of this like relates to like business, right? Um and so over the last about year, all of 2023, when I started my online business, um we were like messaging people and getting into conversations with people so that we can get sales, right? And but at the same time, while we were doing that, we were building out like a sequence of emails to go out to people who subscribe to our email list. And
Mm.
even though not that many people were going through it, uh, I was making YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video, right? And then some of those emails would link to a YouTube video. So people open the email, then they go to a YouTube video. And as I'm doing it, it's like there's not that many people on that email list, right? Like by the end of the year, there was I think 300 people. And so it's like one person
At the end
added
of
to the
1 year.
list, yeah, per day,
Yeah.
right? And
Okay.
then
Okay.
and then I had probably like 50 different YouTube videos that people can go to that were linked in there. But now in 2024, what had happened because of that is I'm able to run ads now. Like that's the last piece of that puzzle. It's like I'm figuring out ads and I'm running ads for that business. But since I'm doing that now, I have an ad running that goes to people to book a call with me, right? And so right now, even if people don't book a call with me and invest in what it is that I help clients with, um, they still get onto my email list. So as of right now, because it just depends on how much money I spend on ads, but there's like two new people joining my email list every day. Sometimes three, sometimes four. And out of 10 people who join, one person books a call with me.
Hmm.
But the other nine are going through that all the work that I did last year that seemed like it was for no reason. The other nine people are going through, okay, getting these emails that are already written, like the work's already done. And I wouldn't have built that last year if I would have thought like, hey, everything that I'm doing is for results that I need to get right now. Because building that out was
Mm.
like knowing that this is going to build results for me later, but I'm going to have more leverage when I do it. And it's the same thing with like going to the gym or trying to find a new job. Um, the one time that I was like really wanting a job and I needed to find one like ASAP. This is before like business stuff. What I told myself, because what I used to do before was just go find one place that I really want to work at and put in an application, see what happens, and then just
Hmm.
kind of wait. And then a few years ago, I was looking for a job, and I said, "All right, let me treat looking for a job like it's my job." Like, and then I did that for like 8 hours a day, just following up with
Hmm.
people and like it was
Like
my job.
you're recruiting a job for yourself, but you're just
Yeah,
making a game out of it, like in a way.
yeah. I basically worked at it for 8 hours a day. Like that's what I was getting paid for, even though I wasn't getting paid for it. And because of that, I was like putting in applications. I was following up with people that I put in applications with. I was retailoring resumes for each one that I applied to because like I'm doing this for 8 hours a day anyways. And and that's the thing. It's like usually the results that we see a lot of people getting that are like big results, they happen because they happen in the light because those people were willing to do all the work that nobody else was willing to do
Yep.
in the dark.
Yeah, that's right. And being consistent and consistent and consistent. I think I've got a video out, right? I put a video out. You edited it for me actually. Um, it's that persistent drive. And I don't want to say grind because it's always been enjoyable. And just to get the audience up to speed, I think I've been with Ron for what, 6 or 7 months, Ron? 7, maybe a little more.
I think it's been a year. I saw that this channel, had
Yeah.
its year birthday just
Oh,
like
it did.
last week. Yeah.
Well, time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, started off slow, right? And now it's just moving right along. It's really nice. What are you drinking, by the way? I'm curious.
This is it's basically orange like an orange popsicle in a can without sugar. That's what
Oh,
it tastes like.
nice.
I mean, it's just sparkling water. Orange vanilla sparkling
Yeah,
water. Fancy water with bubbles.
right on. Right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just got my boring water here. Boring, plain.
Oh
What?
yeah, nothing fancy about it.
Nah, nothing at all. It is a dud. I'm like, what's Ron drinking? uh,
uh, I
but yeah,
saw.
so the great thing I think one of your qualities, Ron, is your consistency and you never quit. As long as I've known you, just don't quit. It's like, no, if you got a call, if you got whatever it is, it's like you're always there 100% of the time. Can't say that about everybody. Can definitely say that about you.
Thanks, man. I haven't always been like that. Uh, I
Yeah.
think one
Well, as long as I've known you, that's the only Ron I know. If anything was different,
right.
it'd be out of place. I'd be like, what? What? What do you mean?
Yeah. Um, but I just wanted to say that though, because for anybody who's watching this, who's like, "Well, I'm not like that, so I can't do X, Y, and Z." Um,
What
like,
do you mean by that? Like, why? Like when someone's saying, "Well, I can't be consistent." Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
because yeah, if somebody's saying like, people don't view me like the way that Brian views Ron, so
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm
Yep. Yep.
not like that. So, because I just wanted to share, like, for any of you guys watching, like, the importance of knowing that at one point in time, I was not like that. And if I looked at and I decided to do all these things that require that, right? Like growing a YouTube channel requires just consistency and showing up no matter what. Business requires consistency and showing up no matter what. A good relationship with your partner or your spouse requires showing up and
Anything.
consistently no
A
matter
good,
what.
yeah,
Like,
a good. If you're an athlete, whatever, golf, baseball, football, hockey, you have to keep practicing.
yeah,
And
like,
it's like the greats; they always have practiced more than anybody.
yeah, exactly. And so I just wanted to share that because it's like at one point in time I didn't have that ability and I decided to go after all these things.
Whoa, killer cat right there. And there's the mountain lion.
I decided to go after like all these things that require that, right? And if I looked at the evidence that I had at the time I made that decision, the evidence of my life so far, if I would have looked at the past and said, you can't start like an online business and maintain it, dude. You can't even show up for this or that, or you can't go to the gym and get healthier. Like you can't start a YouTube channel because look at everything that you did before. If I would have
Mm,
like let my past dictate what I can and can't do in the present and in the future, I would have never actually like changed. The beginning of the
s-
change was deciding to do things that require that consistency. That's the big,
mm.
but also that's the beginning. It's like you make the
And
decision.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think an important thing for people to say out there, if you do want to make changes, right? The past doesn't equal the future. So if you've been a
Mm,
total fuck up, can I say that? Can I swear online? So if
you can
you've
do
been a
whatever you want.
total, yeah, if you've been a total fuck up, right? It doesn't mean you have to be tomorrow or even
Yeah.
right now. You can change. Boom. Just decide.
Or even like on the other side of that, if you've been really good at whatever it is that you do, like you've not been a fuck up, you're decently good. Like that doesn't mean that you can't let that go and be
Mm,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing consistency, And a great question is, how can I stay consistent and have fun doing it? There's certain things that you can do to make your life really good. You know, um, if you have like a ton of invoicing to do, right? And you have, I don't know, a real nice outdoors or a hot tub outside. Put your laptop, do it right from the hot tub or something. Learn how to ask better questions so you can enjoy your life.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point because no matter what, like no matter what, I've found, I'm not going to say that this is true for everybody, but I found this true for me, and that's that whenever I'm doing something that requires this level of consistency, um, there's always I found like little pieces of the action that I have to take to feel like minutia or to feel like I don't really want to do this right now, but I still want the overall goal, the long term thing,
Mm,
right? And or maybe it just might be my energy and how I'm feeling that day, right? Um, and and I think that this is like learning to figure out a way to love the little things that seem like it's like sucks to do, like in lamest terms, right?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
is really important. And sometimes it can just be with a shift of how you think about them. Like for me, um, specifically, I really don't like editing videos and going through and editing them and uh and I still do it, not to a point where you see all this super crazy editing, but like even making all the little videos out of these long videos. If any of you guys watching this see like the shorter videos of me and Brian, they're like 60 seconds. Um, then it's yeah, like I went through it, right. And I found tools and software to be able to help make that like way shorter. But that's a part of the process that I tend to not really like. I like being on camera and just talking about this stuff, but the behind the scenes stuff not so much, at least for that. And what I've learned to do is reframe that instead of thinking like, oh, now I'm doing something I don't like to do as much. Because there's always going to be something you don't like to do as much. But
Mm,
what I think is like, well, this is actually really cool because these shorter videos get more reach and they get more they expose what Brian and I are talking about to more people who've never heard of us. So like I'm making those because I can see that that's happening, and then I
very
go to
cool. Very
and
cool.
then and I know that that's going to happen when I make more of them. And
Hey,
so even in the moment,
Ron,
I'm like, "What's up?"
what do you think about this? Have you ever, and you probably have, right? So you change your vocabulary, your inner dialogue, right? So instead of saying, I have to edit videos, you switch and say, well, I want to edit videos, right?
Yeah,
Does that help you at all?
that helps me. Something that I think is more powerful, at least for me, is I switch it to I get to edit videos.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah, that's
to.
cool. Versus, living on the street under a
Yeah.
bridge.
Versus like whatever,
Right.
yeah. Or just like not living. If you're not living, you can edit
Not
in no
yeah.
videos.
What's what's the alternative, right? Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and,
love it. I love when we go to extremes, you know?
but I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I do, and it's funny because my girlfriend Ray, she laughs because whenever I hear her say, "I have to do this," I just smile at her and I go, "You get to, you get to,"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she like rolls her eyes like,
Yeah,
"I'm
yeah.
all right, I know."
She's like, "Yeah, don't give me don't give me any more positive shit. I'll punch you in the face." Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good, you know? It's good when you have, a team around you too that like-minded people. You wanna elevate your life, get involved with like-minded people. You'd be surprised how fast you can skyrocket.
Yeah, for sure. And it just kind of touching back on like what I was sharing a few minutes ago with the guy that I connected with that I've known for for a while. Uh, I saw that he made some changes in his business where he wasn't doing as many sales calls, and doesn't matter what all the changes are and all the details of that, right?
Mm,
But that I just had some questions like, hey, like what? Because I've gone through changes like that in my business as well, and so I was just wondering like, hey, what like prompted that for you? And instead of just asking him that in Messenger, it's like, let's get on a call. Got on a Zoom call, recorded it, and it was really cool just to like not be doing whatever I'm doing in as much of a vacuum where it's like it doesn't feel like that as
I
much
totally get that.
because
Yeah.
it's like I just like and it's funny because he's won all these awards for like seven figures online and stuff like that, awards that I want to get. I've gotten like a fifth of the way there, right? And
Mm,
but we didn't talk about any of that, and I think that that's kind of like what made it cool. It's like because it's like this isn't about like, oh, you did these awards and what exactly do. It's like, oh, well, I know what you did. You sold a bunch of stuff, you know, and
yeah, yeah. Well, it's pretty cool too though because even our podcast, we just talk about whatever, but there's so
yeah,
many mindset. Like I know like I have heard people say to me after, "Oh man, that was a really cool point that you guys made," you know? And it's like we don't even think like that, but there it is, you know?
right,
There's our
right,
there's our mindset point, you know? Just cuz we're always on it like that. So,
yeah. It's the thing is when you connect with other like-minded people, you s- when I connect with other like-minded people, it starts to validate for me the different things and changes that I'm making for like whatever for like a good whenever I make changes so that I can take my life in a better direction
mm,
and then I'm connecting with other people who are doing the same, it almost like okay, so let me back up just a little bit. Those changes that I make, I'm making them because of ideas that I've had, right?
mm,
And ideas, they feel almost like this cloudy, very non-tangible like substance floating above my head. Like if you picture a cloud that's like dissipating, it's like very strong in the middle and then it's kind of towards the edges it's dissipating, and it's like I have this idea, like this thought bubble about where I want my life to go, and I'm taking action based off of that. But it's very cloudy.
mm,
And then I start talking with other people who are taking the similar action, or people who have been taking the same action but doing it for longer, right? And I connect with them, then all of a sudden this idea of where I want my life to go or the changes that I'm making, it snaps into focus and it becomes less cloudy. It becomes less it becomes just more crystal clear. Uh just from having interaction with other people who are doing the same thing. That's what I've noticed. And then it makes it
mm.
like way easier. There's less friction when I'm taking the action after that.
Yeah. I've noticed too, once you get a vision going, right? Things just appear. Like all of a sudden that certain teacher is there. It's probably been there all the time, but now you see it. So it's really interesting stuff, you know. We're just getting done. I mean, we know it. Things just fall. they fall into your lap, or if they don't fall into your lap, there's a reason why it didn't. And you don't know it, but you'll know it, I guarantee it, in probably could be a year from now, could be 2 years from now, could be 3 months from now, but you will know, "Oh my god, thank god that didn't happen."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Um, yeah, dude, it's funny as you say that, my brain is just like scanning all of my history for times that's happened. Like all these things that I thought were problems, or that were challenges, and now I can see how they were for the better. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was like at the time it's like, well, this sucks. It's not going the way that I think that it should. Um, and even with a positive mindset, like uh, that's funny. That's one thing that I'd like to just bring up because I know that I've had people ask me, like, "How are you like so level-headed like all the time?" And like no matter what. Um, and the funny thing is, like, I've had to tell people, like people close to me, like, that's what you see on the outside. On the inside, I still have the same like thoughts of doubt that pop up, the same feeling of like I don't know if this is gonna this or this, and but the difference is they pop up, and I choose whether I want to engage with that, and I choose whether or not I want to like live that out or act that out, or if I want
Yeah.
to act out something different. And so I told this specific person, What you see is what you see me choosing to act out. But I
Mm.
still have all those same feelings, they pop up, and I decide, no, that's not what we're going to do right now. And by that, I mean, like, when I have thoughts of doubt or insecurity pop up with what I should do, like with my business or with like relationships or friendships or whatever, or like if this is even working, like I don't entertain those thoughts by lending my voice to them. I'm not like,
Mm.
okay, let's talk about that and announce that and proclaim that to everyone because that just makes it even more real. It's like, no,
Yeah.
like we're going to talk about the opposite because when I tell somebody else something, I'm also telling it to myself. And
Right
so,
on. Right on. Yeah, you go there. It's like, people do ask that. Well, how do you always stay? Well, I don't always stay positive and looking at the brighter side of life. No, as a matter of fact, I have many moments, but I don't live there. I've trained myself not to live there. Yeah, spend 5 minutes, but get out of it and learn how to get out of it. Better questions, better thoughts, right?
right,
Learn how to get out of it, and you'll always be on top of it. But you need training. Everyone, right? So that goes back to consistency, Ron. You have to consistently do it. Maybe you'll be in a foul mood for 15 minutes. Okay, next time I'm going to try to be only in a foul mood for 10 minutes. Because when you live in a state where you're calm, you're peaceful, grateful, all that, that's when your creativity comes out. When you're in an anger state, anything negative you can think of, jealous, anger, whatever it is, right? You cannot be in another state of creativity. It's impossible,
right.
So kind of
S-
like a shortcut to what you said there.
Yeah. So,
You know what I mean? Oh, and there it is. There's a killer mountain lion.
so
What's the cat's name?
Edie, it's
Edie?
yeah, it's short for edamame, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
vegetable.
I love those things.
Yeah, Edie, come here. Come here. You want to say what's up to everybody? She's coming back.
Wow.
Come here.
Where's the dog, Ron?
Oh, he's laying down. He's chilling.
Oh, really?
We took him on a long hike yesterday, and it totally like tuckered him out.
Yeah.
Edie, look, there's the camera right there. She's like, I don't care about that at
Edie's like,
all.
Edie's like, I get on that camera, I'm gonna get more views than you two dudes combined. Right
Yeah,
on, Edie.
cats. Yeah, that's always the case with cats.
Yeah.
Um, but I love what you just said before she showed up and stole the spotlight, because that's what
Yeah.
cats do. They show up and everyone's like,
Oh yeah.
I don't even care what you're talking about before. It's a cat.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
cat's name? Comments below. What's your cat's name? What's your cat eat? Is it an indoor cat? Is it an outdoor cat?
Right. I mean, and it's funny because you kind of did that. A cat popped up, and you're like, "Oh, the cat. What's the cat's name?"
Oh yeah, yeah. Gotta do that, man.
Yeah.
Well, there's always the dog, right? I've always seen the dog, Coda.
Hmm.
This time I didn't even know you had a cat.
Yeah. Yeah. She's pretty awesome. She's super sweet when we have like guests come over. Most cats will just go run and hide under the bed if somebody new comes over, or they just run away and they're like looking at you like, "Who's this person?"
Yeah.
But she goes like right up to everybody. She's super friendly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I've had a couple awesome cats like that too.
yeah. Um, but you did mention like not living in that state for a while, right? Whenever you're like angry, upset, because there's two different sides of the spectrum, right? There's like um like the side where we're feeling like at peace, creative,
Hmm.
where we're able to let thoughts and ideas and energy just flow. And then there's the
Hmm.
other side that feels just more restrictive, where it feels like
Yeah.
where it basically it's like operating out of some sort of fear, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so you and it's like that could be like anger, resentment, like uh jealousy, all kinds of different things that you could be feeling that create that, right? Fear of losing something that we already have, or feel of not get the fear of not getting something that we want to get. um so for somebody who's brand new at this, at becoming aware of this, right, what would you recommend as a better question that they can ask themselves when they're feeling that, to help get out of that, like what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, depending on what they're dealing with, everything's going to be different. Everything, if they're angry. I think one of the questions that I've asked myself, well, when I feel myself being overwhelmed or angry or any of those negative things, I will ask myself, well, what's great about this right now? And
Mm,
a lot of times, even when you're totally frustrated, right? You're like just frustrated, like beyond you can even believe. You're just totally frustrated with everything. Maybe people are there's just so many demands of you, whatever. But then you sit there and you say, okay, well, what's great about it? I love it when I get frustrated because I welcome frustration. If I get frustrated, that means I need to make a change. And then it makes me evaluate myself, my system that I have in place, and that changes everything. Because now I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm very frustrated right now. There's a reason why. Why am I frustrated? And then it leads to other questions like, okay, do I need to have a company meeting? Do I need to have, um, my managers at a meeting? Is it, things like that? I know one of the one of the game changers for me running the electrical business, because I'd have people call all the time, like you know, my managers, my product managers and stuff like that. And I'd be like, listen, I'm going to put a new rule in place. And that rule is, before you call me, have three solutions for the challenge that you're having. And that was a game changer because now it made them think, how do we fix the problem before I call the owner of the company.
Yeah, that's huge, dude. Like number one, like first of all, hats off to you for like implementing that because I know that there's a lot of small business owners who don't do that. And what it leads to, and I know this from being on both sides of the fence, even like as an employee, right? If I'm not thinking to like come with like some solutions when there's a problem or something needs to get changed, then I'm not even trying to figure out any solutions. I'm just like, here you go. Hey, new problem. Send it over to the owner. New problem. Send it over to the owner.
Mm.
Send it up the food chain. Problems. All the problems come over here. Go that way. And and then like, and as like a business owner, if when you have multiple people doing that for like all these problems, there's like it becomes very I don't like to use the word impossible, but I'll just say damn near impossible to like live in a state of like peace
Mm.
and flow when you're just being bombarded with problems left and right, fighting fires. And so that's like really genius, getting the people who are like managing in the company to solve problems on their own. And yeah, they may need like your approval to like make some of these changes, right? So they still got to talk to you, but at least they're coming with solutions and
Mm.
they're just like asking you to decide, you know?
Yeah, and it gets their creativity flowing,
Right, right.
So
And
it's a good thing all around.
I guarantee that implementing that has I just know this because I've seen that principle at work before, where I bet there's been problems that pop up that they just solve that they didn't need your sign off for that you didn't even know about. They just get
Yeah,
fixed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And there it is, right? So it's really a great thing to implement if you do have a small business, Um and going back to your own mindset, right? Yeah, you can have a bad moment. We all do, but don't live there. Get out of that state as soon as you can. And here's another thing too. When you're in a good state, that's the time to ask yourself, okay, what happens if I get in a bad state? What kind of questions can I ask myself? Because it's never good when it's in the heat of the moment. So if you're listening out there and you're in a pretty decent, oh hey, I'm listening pretty good here, right? Well, if you're in that state right now, write down a couple things. Hey, how can I get myself out of a bad mood, a bad state, a bad whatever, while you're in a good mood? And that's and keep those questions, right? Put them in your wallet, your if you're a woman, up your pocketbook, whatever. Rip them out, take them out. Hey, I got
Put
to
them
ask
in your
myself
notes in
these,
your phone,
and
whatever.
it's gonna change your state just by opening that.
Right. Because whether you know it or not, like opening that, like that's actually such like that is such cool advice because like I can see the mechanics of why that works. Because just by deciding to open that up and look at some better questions to ask when you're in
Yeah,
this state, when you're in the state that you really don't want to be in, what you're actually doing is you're already taking action to get out of that state. Like that's what that is.
exactly.
And
Yep.
and and so um and the other cool part about writing down like different questions that you could ask yourself to get out of whatever state that you don't want to be in. Um and doing that when you're in a positive state. Uh this kind of goes back to something that I learned in sobriety, and something that they teach us to do is just be in contact with other people in the program like every day, and
Mm.
do that like and a lot of times it seems like a moot point because we're like, well, it's a great day today. Like, what do I got to call these people about and tell them about like my day, and or like, why do I got to text all these people and tell them that like today was normal, everything's fine. Like, why? But I learned this and figure this out on the days where things did not feel normal, where things did not feel fine, where like relationships ended and like things didn't feel fine, or and the reason that they have us do that is so that when things don't feel fine, the action is still the same. It's pick up the phone, dial it to the people. But the phone, it feels like it's 1,000 pounds when it's something that when I haven't been using it for this purpose. It's like the impossible to pick up phone, you know? But if I'm calling people consistently all the time, even when things are good, well, it's no problem to call them when things are bad because it's something I do all the time anyways. And if you're asking yourself, how can I what's good in this situation? Even when the situation already seems good and you're asking
Mm,
yourself and you feel great. You're like, what's great about this? And then you're like, how is this like really beneficial for me? And you're asking yourself this and some of these questions. Or you're just brainstorming what questions that you can ask. When you're doing that, when you're in a good state, it becomes way easier to do that when you're in a bad state.
sure.
Just yeah.
Right
So
on.
I love that advice. Something else that you said that I'm just like piggybacking off everything that you say. I'm just like, I love this. You say stuff,
Right
I'll
on.
piggyback off
Just
it.
jump right on, Ron. Bring the bring the cat too. uh,
But one of the things though, I might have heard this from you too. I don't remember who I originally heard this from. It would make sense if it came from you because you talking made me think about it again. But that when you said, "Hey, it's okay to have bad moments, but don't let that become a bad day." Um, I
mm,
remember somebody somewhere had said um, to me, "There's no such thing as bad days. Like there's only bad moments in a day, and it's up to you how long that bad moment actually is." So basically, it's like we can reset our day at any point in time in the day. Um, we're doing it already all the time. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like one of the things that I've taught a lot of the clients that I've had, don't don't live there. Just get out of that. Whatever that is, whatever it is, find ways to ask yourself those questions to get yourself out of that state. Because the quicker you get out of your state, the better your life's going to be, right? Because your thoughts control your emotions on a moment to moment basis. They just do. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your emotions. Okay. So if that's true, and it is, right? If you're in a shitty mood all the time, man, your life's just going to suck. You're going to wake up sucking, right? You're going to wake up, the whole thing. But if it's true, right, that the quality of your emotions determine the quality of your life, the truth of it is your emotions are controlled by your thoughts. And the minute you get control over what you're saying to yourself and what you're thinking to yourself, it's a game changer on every 100% of the time, no matter who it is, no matter what they're trying to find. That's a game changer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. We're still over here riding Brian's coattails. Just like, yep, what he just
Yeah.
said.
Where's the
Yeah.
cat?
Um,
Where's the cat?
it's
I gotta have some more boring water, just plain boring water.
nothing wrong with boring.
Mm,
You know what? Right now you say that that water's boring, but let me ask you, Brian,
right on.
What's great about that?
I love that. What a great question. Well, it's refreshing.
There we go.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about anything else being added to it besides the plastic particles in the bottle. Right?
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. That's a whole different talk.
Well, you can always get box water. You know, you can get
Oh
your
yeah.
it's plain water. It's just in a box,
Hmm.
recyclable, and
I never heard of
or
that.
you can get you can get Yeah, it comes in like those boxes that are like milk carton type boxes, you know?
Yeah.
You open it and just water. Um, and then
I've got this,
also you can get it like bottled in glass. Then
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
so I've literally, I would say I kinda live in the country, right? New Hampshire. It's literally the next town over. It's either the next town or the next 2 towns. They have one of those pumps, right? You pump this thing, it's on the side of a mountain. You pump this thing and water comes out, right?
like a well.
So, yeah, it's a well. It's like an old-fashioned well. And yeah, I got these glass bottles, right? I was gonna fill them up and, hey, you're supposed to eat and drink within 50 miles of where you live. I don't know if you ever heard of that, Ron, but all this stuff like that. So I had this brilliant idea. I got a couple glass mugs, right? And here I am. I'm gonna just go fill them up a couple times a week. Guess how many times I've been there? Just take a guess.
Once? Do you do it
Yeah,
once?
once, once. Yeah. But anyway, the intention was good, right? Again, consistency, right?
So,
Consistency.
um, that makes me like think like whether you believe it or not, like you were consistent and
Yeah,
like you consistently did not go fill up the
right
jugs
on.
at the pump.
Yep, exactly.
except for one day. You weren't consistent on one day, and that's the day that you went and filled them up.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I just inspired myself after this podcast. I'll go fill up a couple of them.
Yeah. Um
See
but
what
no,
happens.
I thought of that because uh that's one thing that I think would like help anybody who's watching who struggles with consistency. I know for me, I it was hard for me to take the consistent actions that I needed to take to change into who I am today at first. And it became easier because at first I was telling myself I can't be consistent with anything. And here's the thing. If that's what I think, your thoughts dictate your emotions dictate your actions, that dictates your reality, right? And the results that you get. So when I
Yep.
thought I can't be consistent with anything, um, then I lived that out and I wasn't consistent with the things that I wanted to do. Um, and it wasn't until I realized that, wait, no, you're consistent. You're like consistent as shit. Like you're pretty consistent. But what I was consistent at was um like doing a bunch of work for like the online business that I was starting, but it was the work that doesn't move the needle at all.
Mm.
And like I was consistent with doing only the things that made me feel good in the moment. Um I was consistent with being distracted with like trying to do work while I'm watching YouTube videos and podcast episodes and having things playing in the background. And I was consistent with listening to when my thought popped up that said, "Hey, you should go to the weed store, just go get some weed." And I'd be like, "Yeah, but that's going to take like 3 hours because I have to go way over here and then I'm going to want snacks. I'm going to go get snacks and then I would go do it anyways. And I would be like, "Well, listen to like a business podcast while you're doing that." And then I was consistently just not doing
Yeah.
the things that I should have done to get to where I wanted to go. And but when I realized that, I was like, "Oh, I am really consistent. Like I'm super consistent. I'm just not consistent at the things that I want to be consistent at."
Yeah.
And that kind of helped change the game for me because like I can be consistent. I just have to choose better things to be consistent at. And most likely that's the same for I would blanket statement say that's the same for everybody because we all do like pretty much the same things throughout the day. Whether we're like
Mm.
we wake up, right? We like wash or bathe ourselves in some way, some form or fashion, whether it's in the morning or in the evening. We consume some sort of organic matter or material and we eat that. And then we
Ugh.
go out into the world and do things.
Mm.
Like we're all pretty much the same in that aspect.
Yeah. Is it? What do you think? What do you think? Like Ron, what are you saying? Like autopilot in a way?
That's a good question. Um, I think to a degree we are, and and so to a degree we are, and it's kind of based off of like the autopilot programmer still is you,
Mm.
but it's you at a deeper subconscious level.
Yeah.
And so like really the like cracking the safe, like opening up the vault and cracking the safe to get to the programmer controls has
Mm.
to do with um really has to do with being able to go like that deep into like our beliefs and our identity and who we believe that we are, and then that reroutes the programming. Like that's basically what happened in that example that I was sharing with me not thinking that I'm consistent, because
Mm.
that belief that led me to doing all the things that I didn't want to do and none of the things that I did want to do. That
Yeah.
came out of
Yeah.
that belief, out of that programming. And then when I saw like, hey, this programming is actually faulty because you are really consistent. And I was like, oh. And then I changed that belief to like, you're like one of the most consistent people out there. And then like we fast forward to now, and like what were you just saying at the beginning of this call? You're like, Ron just shows up and does all the stuff like no matter what. Like
Mm.
now it's like now it's actual reality. And I didn't have to think about it this whole time. It's because the belief changed like subconsciously. And so it's kind of like I'm on autopilot, but I'm on autopilot for a course that I charted and that I want to actually go to instead of somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's hey, listen, it's not for everybody. It's not, you know. There's some people that are gonna consistently fuck up forever. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know? If that's you know, it comes down to desire, right? Do you wanna do you wanna look dumpy smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, or whatever, abusing drugs and having a hard time paying the rent? And I've never seen anything good from abuse of alcohol or drugs. I've never seen it. Maybe it's out there, maybe it's good time for a second, or whatever, but whenever I've seen it, I've seen lack.
Yeah.
I've seen lack. I've seen blame. And it's just that's what I've experienced. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong or anything. I'm just saying what I've noticed throughout my life. And I've been surrounded by a lot of it. But whenever I see it, I always see lack, lack of money, lack of quality relationships, lack of judgment, right? I see a lot of blame that
Well,
goes with it.
I think there's a specific reason for that. And like yes, that's true. And and I think that's because like if you think about it, the act of putting some sort of like chemical into my body so that it affects it just makes me feel like quote unquote better, whatever that is, right?
Yeah,
um and it's an inherently selfish act because
right.
it's only about me. Like I'm doing this, like even if I'm doing like drugs and stuff with other people, like they're just like the other people that are around. Like if I'm going out and partying with the same group of people, like I'm the main character in this movie. They're the background. They're the supporting
Mm,
actors, right? And when I'm taking this specific substance, even though I used to trick myself and say that I'm doing it to be social and I'm doing it with these people, and but really it was all about me. It was all about how this made me feel, and they happen
Yeah.
to be around. And
Yes. So you numbed your state so you'd feel better because you weren't
right,
happy with your reality. Does that sound about right?
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Hmm.
And that's why I say it's a selfish thing, because what you just said has nothing to do with my quote unquote so-called friends that are around me, and that I may be participating in this stuff with. It,
Yeah.
it, it only has to do with me, and that's why I think that it's something that doesn't really contribute that much, because it's, well, how could something that's inherently 100% selfish contribute?
Right.
you know
And even if you get away from just drugs and alcohol abuse and all that, if you just if you want to help somebody who might be a little depressed, and listen, there could be chemical imbalances and stuff like that. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be,
right.
but I know for a fact most people who are very sad, very depressed, they're only thinking about themselves. If if you can just go out and just help somebody else. Share somebody your story why you're depressed. Maybe you'll find somebody else who's depressed and maybe it'll help them. But whatever it is, the minute you help somebody else, you're going to start to feel better. And that's a fact.
Yeah, and a lot of times that you end up feeling better. For me, when I do this, when I've done this, I end up feeling better after the fact. And even knowing this too, what you just shared, because I do this regularly now, I
Mhm.
still feel like, oh, I don't really want to go like help somebody like
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
Like I
You
still
know,
feel that.
that, that lady crossing the street, I don't want to give her a boot. Hey, get off my street. Right?
I'm driving here. You're
Yeah.
taking too long. But and maybe that's just me, right? But I'm just being transparent. Like I help a lot of people in recovery community around me, in school. Like I'm in class, and in these business classes that I'm in, or in my accounting class, all these young students. See, every time there's a break and I go outside of the classroom, every class I've been in, this happens. There's like 3 or 4 of the students that like kind of just gravitate towards me and want to ask me questions about business and sales and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And sometimes I go out there and I go on my break and I see them coming and I'm like, oh god, like I don't want to do this right now. I just want to chill out.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Can't you see I'm taking a break? Yeah, it's true, right?
but I do it, and afterwards I always feel better.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I don't want to do it. I think this happens over time when you've been doing it for a while,
Yeah, I bet.
because I feel like I'm not in a desperate space where I need to feel better, and so I gotta really seek somebody out to help,
Mm,
because I've been doing that for so long that it doesn't feel like I need to go do that like immediately. And but then I get it twisted and I think like, "Oh, if I don't help somebody right now, like, dude, that's what got you feeling like better consistently anyways." So, and I always realize that when I like just say yes to the opportunity to help somebody, even if it's them asking questions while I'm on break at school. And I'm like, I want to just be
just
on
say
my
yes.
break and eat my little Danish and not talk to anyone for 10
Just say
minutes.
yes, Ron. Just say yes. Hey, did you see that movie, Yes Man?
Not yet. What's going on,
Oh,
KP
yeah, you
Guard?
gotta
Thanks for hopping on. I just displayed the comment here. Um,
hey,
but what movie are you talking about?
it's
Yes
called
Man?
Yes Man. Yes Man's in it. Um, Look it up. You're good at that.
Oh, just making demands over here.
Yeah, I am. I think I think it's, Jim Carrey's in it.
Okay, hold on.
That's a good one for you and your you and Ray to watch.
Let's see here.
And the
Uh,
cat, of course.
All right. Yes, man. 2008. Okay, this is one of those. I don't think I saw this. This is when Jim Carrey was doing all those. I mean, they're very like positive movies,
Yeah,
you know.
but he goes to this seminar and he literally thinks that if he says no, he's going to get like pummeled and beat up and all this bad things happen. So he has to say yes to everything and his life completely changes. It's just a funny movie. I liked it anyway.
I'll have to check it
We'll just
out. I liked like Bruce Almighty and stuff like that, you know.
yeah.
Oh, it's got the girl from the New Girl. I don't know her name, but Zoe Deschanel. Okay,
Hmm.
Bradley Cooper's in it. Okay, yeah, I'll check this out.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a funny movie. You know, it's good though. But he
Oh,
has to say yes to everything. So when you said, "Hey, I just say yes," well, yes, man.
yeah. We'll check it out. It's funny. I clicked over to this. And I was like, whoa, we're all zoomed in.
Yeah, what's going on?
How did? There we go.
Thank you.
Back to normal. All right. I think that's a good stopping point. It always feels weird ending podcasts. I'm like, all right, like is that the conversation's done? Is that
Yeah,
um
yeah. And then sometimes they carry on, you
yeah.
know? But I think I think whoever is out there and if you are struggling, just go back. There's a lot of mindset. There's a lot of mindset, not just our podcast, but there's a lot of mindset, good mindset things out there that can help you get through your day. And you know,
Seek and you shall find.
and it'll find you, right? We're all just getting done. We're all here for a reason. Everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own gift. And everybody does. Every single person has their own gift.
Yeah. And if you don't know what yours is, just ask yourself, what's my gift to contribute to the world? Because if you think about it, when you find that, like that's one thing that's really cool.
Mm,
When you find that, well, now you've just found like when you discover what your gift is to be able to contribute to other people that you love doing.
yeah.
Well, now you can do something that you love doing that also helps other people, that makes you feel good because it helps other people and it makes you feel good because you love doing it. Like, there you go. You know, it's a game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you know what? Whatever it is, like, you know what? If you're an angry person all the time, you're good at getting angry. Ask yourself, what are you thinking of getting so pissed off?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, just ask yourself what your gift is if you don't know what it is, and it will be revealed.
Mm,
And don't worry about the next steps after that because this whole game is all one step at a time. This whole game called life that we're
mm,
playing, it's just the current step in front of
yeah.
us, and then the next one is revealed, and so on and so forth.
Right on.
Yeah,
It's getting deep with Ron Carter.
getting deep with Brian Marsolais, asking better questions to change your life.
Right on. Right on. I think we're going to get a pretty
I've had
major
it.
storm coming up. Like all of a sudden, everything got really dark. It's pretty exciting.
I'm being I'm being judged by Ray for having this little ring light. She walked in and she's like, "You got yourself a ring light."
Hey, Ray. Say hi to our audience, Ray.
Brian says hi. He says hi.
All
The audience says hi too. Oh, you heard him? Did you hear him? Okay.
right. That's right. That's the one that keeps Ron going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, change your life, change your thoughts, change your life.
Yeah. You can do it.
change the world.
Love
So
it.
taking your tagline,
Love it,
riding your
man.
coattails the whole episode.
All the way. Just climb on. You and the cat. Bring Ray if you want.
Man, it's always a
Always a
pleasure, man.
pleasure,
This is
Ron.
fun. Yeah.
Right on.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Right on, Ron. See ya.